When I say pit bull, what comes to mind? Do you see a terrifying monster full of teeth and muscles? A vicious predator that can and will tear you to shreds in a heartbeat? A massive beast that preys on children? Or do you see a goofy nanny dog that will kill you with kisses? A dog that will make you laugh so hard you cry from their funny quirks? Who's right? On one hand, it's not hard to find articles on the news regarding vicious pit bull attacks. Between the news and social media, any animal attack seems to find its way to the public's attention. On the other, there are countless heartwarming videos on social media and YouTube telling you how pit bulls save lives and are perfect angels. Personally, I myself have been stuck in video wormholes that show how vicious animals can turn well-behaved and calm-natured when shown just a little bit of love. Pit bulls are not innately bad or aggressive. It is the lack of training or incorrect training that causes aggression in any dog. If we were to have the same mindset of human beings as we did pit bulls, every single person who shared a name or bore similar features to somebody committing a violent crime would suffer the consequences of that crime. Anyone who looked like a murderer or aggressor would likely be sent to prison, and 9 times out of 10 would die there. There would be housing crises due to the limitations set in place for what types of people could stay in what places. Just how pit bulls are restricted from being in many places, and how 9 out of 10 pit bulls are euthanized in shelters instead of being adopted out. There are still breed restrictions in place today. I want to share a story that I saw on the dodo.com that was shared by a woman named Indiana Murali. This story involves a pit bull named Indy and her dad who live in the UK. I mention where they live because it's important to know that the UK has strict breed-specific legislation laws in place. One day, Indy was seized by the police and taken away from her dad. What was the reason?
Leaving the apartment
Simply
right now.
for being a pit bull.
We're going.
Not for doing anything bad or doing
Yeah.
anything wrong,
We are.
but simply for being her breed. In the UK,
Yeah, we're going, honey.
it is illegal to own certain breeds of
No,
dogs,
you have to stay.
one of
No.
those being
Stay
pit
in
bulls.
your own seat.
The police didn't care that Indy helped her dad deal with his autism. But her dad
Where are we
never
going?
stopped trying to get her back.
You
In
see
the
where
end,
we're going?
Indy was able to return home to her dad, but
Where are we
had very
going?
strict rules she had to follow to remain there. She had to wear a muzzle when she was outside of her house, or she would
Look
be
at where
taken
we're
again.
going.
While Indy didn't seem to mind the muzzle, her dad hated that it made her look aggressive and dangerous to anyone passing by, because she simply wasn't that. Due to these breed-specific legislation laws,
Where are
many
we?
harmless, innocent dogs are
You know
banned
where we
because
are?
their breed is deemed dangerous.
Huh?
But what
you know where we
is
are?
breed-specific legislation? Essentially, they are a set of
Yeah,
laws in
look.
place at a city or county level that ban or restrict the keeping of dogs by breed, typically targeting
We're
pit bulls.
going.
Breeds such as Rottweilers, Dobermans, and Chows are also those who are frequently affected by these laws. Basically, any breed that has a
What?
bigger head, a more
you
muscled
excited?
body, or a stronger bite force are discriminated against. But why did these breed-specific legislation laws come into effect in the first place? These laws were formed to ban any breed that was deemed too dangerous or aggressive to have as pets. These breeds were selected due to their commonality in dogfights, often the winning breeds. But these dogs that were trained to fight and tear into their opponents were trained to kill. They weren't pets. They were kept in cages, poked and prodded, and fought over and over and over again until these dogs learned that to live was to kill. Dogfighting has been around since the medieval times and has been outlawed ever since 1835 in England. The ASPCA estimates that there are still tens of thousands of people involved in dogfighting in the U.S. today. These dogfights lead these breeds into aggressive titles when in reality they're only aggressive because they were trained to be. Pit bulls were used in dogfights a lot due to their muscle mass and powerful jaws. Every year, around 1 million pit bulls are euthanized due to the difficulty of rehoming and the misinformation that surrounds the breed. This means 2,800 pit bulls are put to sleep daily. The problem with breed-specific legislation is that it does absolutely nothing to stop dog attacks. Banning breeds just moves them out of an area, and in most dog attack cases, it's not even a banned breed that's attacking. The stereotypes that surround these aggressive and dangerous breeds are only made worse by the news articles that only discuss the negatives and never discuss the positives. Pit bulls are not aggressive by nature. They are made that way through training and human interaction. With any dog, it is important to learn body language. Without the ability to speak and tell us exactly what is wrong or what is needed, it is up to us as owners to learn our dog's behavior. It is also important to know that no dog is the same, just as no person is the same. Just as an example, when I first got my pit bull English bulldog mix, he was a crazy, nippy puppy. He loved to play, but he would just get a little too rough when playing with people. Once he was trained, he turned into a very respectable service dog for my father. When my father passed and I inherited the dog, there were a few things that I noticed. For one, my father's service dog could no longer be around bigger dogs without trying to lunge for them. The other thing I learned was that the stubborn nature of my dog had returned from when he was a puppy. What had happened was my father had taken 2 trips to Thailand. The first time, he left his dog with his mother to watch until he got back. He didn't bring my dog with him the first time because there was a lot of paperwork to be able to even get his breed into the country, no matter if he was a service dog or not. But during this time, while my grandmother had him, she somehow completely ruined my dog's training. To this day, we still do not know how she has gotten him to go back to his stubborn ways and refuse to listen to anybody unless he wanted to do what you were asking him to do. When my father went back to Thailand the second time and got the paperwork in order to bring my dog along, while they were there, he had taken in this smaller street dog. This street dog loved to cause trouble and problems and would always run back out to the streets and fight these bigger dogs. My dog had grown attached to this smaller street dog, so every time this street dog would get out and go start a fight, my dog would be the one to come in and be the backup and save the day. Since then, bigger dogs scare my dog. My dog can be aggressive towards bigger dogs. I know this, so I don't bring him around bigger dogs he does not know. I don't put him in a place where he feels the need to become aggressive until we have trained all of that fear back out of him. The moral of this story is that any dog can be aggressive at any time. But if you learn how to read body language, you will be able to pinpoint what kind of aggression it is. Whether it's fear, whether it's dominance, whether it is straight aggression that cannot be fixed. It's important to know that not all dogs can be saved, but there are thousands of pit bulls that could be saved if it weren't for misinformation and breed-specific legislation.